Hey guys, thought I'd do a video this way because it seems like today's internet is really out. So this is week 4. We're doing announcements basically for what you might be covering in the module for week 4. And so if I'm looking to the side and down, it's because I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I cover everything. So we're looking at the workload for this week, of course, is just a quiz. So I encourage everybody when you're thinking about doing the quiz to, of course, make sure you have all the reading done. I would first go to the actual study guide for the quiz and print that off and then start working on your vocabulary. There's also some key concepts that are at the very bottom that will be really helpful to just make sure you know page-wise where those concepts are located and even an image on how you can use those. So that's kind of being able to take care of the quiz. But as you guys may have realized that everybody's last week quiz was like not as great as it could be. So now you know a little bit about how the tests are arranged and how to study for them and how to look for the content. Chances are you'll be a lot better at doing this quiz. But I did give people some fudge points on the quiz, so if you looked at it and thought, well, that's not my grade, it's because I saw where everybody was having troubles with certain questions, and I sort of upped those. And I'll be looking at that again in this quiz as well. If at any point you guys felt like in the quiz there was something that you didn't feel you had answered, and you answered correctly but maybe wasn't correctly represented, feel free to provide a little comment to me, and I look at those things and I can give you even more credit for your perspective and where you're coming from and maybe why you answered the questions the way you did. Secondly, because this is a lighter week, I just wanted to point out that it's a great time to start doing your quarterly project and check into that. So go look at the very end of the modules. You'll see the quarterly project listed in all of its components. There's an example and there's a checklist, and I would print the checklist out and then use that as a way to make sure I've got everything completed. One of the main things to do is to start your journals, and if you haven't done that, just start going through the journal entries. And there is an example at the end. I also have these examples here. And they're all done in a different way. So this is a physical journal, which I am willing to accept. I think they're great. And they broke it up into different categories using tabs. It's a really great one where they printed off all their journal entries. So you can just kind of calculate this and sort of like write it in a Word document if you want to. You can also just go ahead and use a regular physical journal and let's see if I can find those entries. Oh, they pasted their entries into this one just the same way too. So everybody does it a little bit differently, and this is your time to just have some kind of creative expression with it. Here are their different creative projects they did. So this is doing the elements of art, where they find an example that's man-made, that is nature-made, and that is found in art. So here are the different kind of elements right there. And another version, right? So here's some of the color examples that are in this one. So, that's part of one of our journal projects. And so you can look at that in the quarterly project at the very end. I'm kind of going backwards in this just so you can see. So you can take your own photos. You can take them from magazines. You could have a digital version of this. So that digital version I have as an example, that's found at the very end. So quarterly project, great time to work on that. Also, it's a great time right now to look ahead a little bit, plan your workload accordingly, and take a look at the weeks coming up. So next week, I'm just taking a look. We've got a photo discussion that is due, and the following week, we've got an essay and a quiz. So I would start looking at how to do that essay. Since we have a little bit of time here, you can sort of scout out and plan where you're going to be doing these different projects. So we have a public art essay that you guys will be going out into the community, looking at a local piece of work and then talking about it, kind of short. And then we have a second project, which is a written research paper. And that kind of sounds like the public art project, but it's a little bit different. So take a look at those two things. And then we've got some more quizzes coming up. So I want to be sure that you guys understand, because it starts to really pick up the tempo, that you're looking at everything. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the elements of art and the principles of design. We're starting to cover, as you may see in the quizzes, the quiz will be about the previous week. material, and then we're also then reading material. So you're right now reading about the medium. So we've talked about the principles of art and the elements of design. And we're going to be now looking at those different mediums and how they are used, those same elements throughout all the mediums. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at, it's more like a way of looking and a way of communicating and a way of talking about the different elements that are part of each work. And we will be using that type of language to discuss the public art piece, to discuss the critical observation piece, and to be able to discuss in the next coming photo discussion on how the work that you're looking at and choosing can be used or is effective by using that vocabulary that we have understood that will be on the quiz. So it's important to really get that that vocabulary under your belt and be able to understand how to implement it. Okay. So a lot to say in a nutshell, and especially a small little video like this. But I was hoping to do something where I was screen sharing, and it looks like it kind of isn't working today in terms of internet-wise. So I will be uploading this shortly, and as always, send me messages. You can meet me on our coffee hour. So anytime I'm able to sit down and talk with students, it's been really great. And use that opportunity. It's available to you at any time that you have available and that I have available, of course. So be sure that that is something, if you're needing it, to take advantage of whenever you can. So otherwise, keep going. You guys are doing great, and I will see you hopefully in our next coffee hour.